Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Madden God. I'm Max, your host, and I'm here today joined by the amazing, wonderful, and today with a new haircut, with a wonderful new haircut, the wonderful Roxanne. Hi, Roxy.
Hello, darling. How are you?
I'm great, and you?
Wonderful. Yeah, I just have for those of you who can't see me, I don't know, how would they be able to see me? I guess if you put this up on YouTube without the little things in front. Anyways, I got my hair braided. I braid my hair every now and again. So I got my cornrows in, and it looks awesome. Yeah, I'm digging
Yes,
it.
he does.
And welcome, everyone. Thanks for tuning back into the Madden God. Again, I am Roxanne, and this is Max. And we are here discussing whatever we can understand about creation or self awareness, whatever you want to call it, all from the subjective universe, our own discovery of our own awareness, our own worthiness. Shit like that. So, goody goody gumdrops. I'm digging it. So, what I wanted to talk about today, I want to talk about, well, you can look at it in a couple of different ways. You can call about patterns, repetition, safeties, securities, habits, these things idea. And I wanted to bring it to attention is because when you're doing work, when you're doing a systematic work, sometimes the work formula itself becomes a pattern unnoticed by the one that is doing the work. So if I have a process and I get the process down and the process has an outcome, and the idea is to move beyond the outcome. The idea is moving to the next portion of yourself, your next room, your next self of I am. That's what you want to do. But in this kind of work, we have an enormous amount of material to transcend our identity, our worthiness, our unworthiness, our belief systems, our structures that we put into place. And we've patterned those, and it's very easily to keep patterning yourself or repeating yourself, habitualizing yourself. And when you do that, you feel energetically good about your work, but you're really not moving any farther because you're not moving into the next portion of yourself. If you find yourself repeating your same commands and same epiphanies or not epiphanies, same affirmations, same ideas of your work, then you may be looking at a pattern here. And of course, that only can be seen by you as a truth. Others may notice and offer as a reflection to you, uh, but you have to be your own truth about that, your own honesty about that. So let's take, for example, you're doing transcendence work. What is transcendence? It's recognition of a belief system. So let's say you were born a racist. Your parents are racist. Let's use hot topics so we can get people's attention. So you were born a certain race and you don't like other races. And because of their culture, because of the way they act, the way they dress, the way they talk, the way they walk, the way they behave is a disdain because it was taught to be disdainful. But it really doesn't bother anyone because it's change. It's another, humans have a great habit of taking the good things out of what other cultures and then destroying them when they're not good. And because there are some cultures that are acting children, but those are pretty much all cultures because it's not defined to a culture, it's defined to each individual behavior. So, anyways, you recognize your own cultural belief system in yourself. So, say that was your family unit. Uh, well, let's do this and let's keep it a little bit softer. Let's say you were born of pure blood, okay, a pure blood wizard or witch, and then went to school and you were in Slytherin house, and Slytherin was very, very pro pureblood, and half bloods, muggles, you know, damn them be all. Whatever their point of uh, Slytherin was about that. What was Slytherin's first name, Tommy?
The guy,
Yeah,
Salazar.
Salazar's Slytherin. Thanks, hon. That's my funny little honey. So you're born into that family or the black family, and you're just taught from a child that, half breeds are bad and muggles are even worse. And so you have that stance against it. So if you're mature and you're tired of the games of humanity and looking for pride and identity and belonging and all that horseshit that goes with the being asleep on the playground of humanity, and this eternal recess of crap. So, and you wake up and you recognize your belief system. It's like, I was taught to be a racist. I was taught to not like muggle borns, half breeds. So I'm recognizing that myself. So I see myself as a belief system, because I really don't feel that way, but I'm afraid to say that because then I might get rejection, and then I want to confirm and earn my parents' love. So I call them a name. I say, I speak half breed. I say it. Right. And my parents approve, and I've been approved because I don't know any love. I don't know any self-love. I don't understand that I'm worth my own existence, because when you get to this planet, you got to earn everything, right? Right from the get-go, everything is less than, everything is like, la-di-da-di, everyone who gives a fuck. That's the game of humanity. That's not the point. The point is that you recognize. And when you start recognizing, then you can transcend. And transcendence has formulas: recognition, acceptance, surrender, allowance, choosing different. But when you keep doing the same repetition, your life frequency, your vibrational frequency stays the same. So your mirror is always cycled. Your reality will be a cyclic idea. And then you're doing work for 10 years and you haven't changed your life any. This is about change. This is about going to the next self. Waking up is evolutionary. Human species is evolutionary. History tells you we've evolved. Whatever your opinion about that is doesn't matter. That's your own truth. But the species has evolved. You are evolving. But most humans pattern themselves, find a safety and security algorithm, and keep themselves within that frequency band, therefore creating that same comfort zone repetitiously until they push up daisies. So you got to look at that, and when you must, as a creator, develop your own ascension tools within your kingdom. Focus. One of the greatest tools that Sylvester taught us is that directional thought. When you get a vibration of lack, a recognition of a belief system that moves up in your consciousness, and you're aware of a belief system that strikes against you and gives you an emotional reaction, you've got to do an involvement of that process of transcending that truth. Don't keep doing the same formula. You accept it, but you also have to forge yourself in it. And directional thought helped me. So when I get that freak out stuff, I just focus. When I get my anxiety, I focus. When I get my fears, I focus. I don't focus on anything particular. I just take my worthiness and put it into the center of myself and say, I am. And be that moment. And to let all those emotions pass through me, penetrate me, and transcend through me. I ascend these things. I ascend them. But now my work is improving because I'm not doing the same things over and over again. But at one particular point, my classes ends, and then the student has to do the work on their own. God forbid you have a goddamn guru your whole fucking life. What kind of idiocy bullshit is that? We're all creators. We're all gods. We have our own selves. You got to find your own love and move forward. But as you know, you can still work with people, but you got to evolve the work. And that becomes a subjective idea. Am I evolving? What can I do different? What can I do better at looking at my own work, my own tools to transcend human emotions, belief systems, instead of patterning myself? And the patterns work. They bring you back into a comfort zone, but then the comfort zone becomes habitual. And then you go and you find your happy emotions, your happy behaviors. And then the next day you wake up and then bam, you're whacked again and you got to do the work. So you repeat yourself instead of moving deeper into the transcendence of that. So I want to draw attention to repetition. Humanity's love patterns. They love patterns
A lot.
because there's certainty in there. You know, there's nothing wrong with patterns. But when you use them as a dependency to continue your identity, well, then you're not ascending, you're maintaining.
Yeah,
Go ahead. You want
they
to say something?
yeah, it's like it gives a false sense of stability. Repeating, and it's like, oh, you stay into a place that you know, right? You have the impression that if it stays like that, you're like protected, and you know you can control it, and you can have everything really very stable, right? Because it's what you know, and many people are afraid of what they don't know, the unknown, and to be confronted if they change their patterns and they change the way um, they live, they do things. They have the impression that they lose the control, that they lose the knowing of what they can expect. We have a lot of fears out of and we act like if any change that comes along may bring the apocalypse, may bring such things that are so horrible, because how can I handle it? What we learn from a crisis, very often that's when we can be really confronted with something, right? We have no choice. It's a crisis. We have to deal with a crisis. And when we have a crisis, what happens is that anything that we knew, any way we used to do things in a crisis, that doesn't apply. Very often, when we are confronted to a crisis, we are led to behave, to do things differently in a hurry, and to kind of very often use abilities that we even didn't know we had, because in our habits we just don't use them because we are ignoring them, right? Ignoring what we are really able to do, because we are so yeah, happy with our habits of doing things and so on. And in the crisis you have no choice. And that's when you can see that actually, if you change your behavior, if you change the way you do things, you have the ability to deal with it, to go with it. Because you when you're in a crisis, you do it. You have no choice. So you see that is our fear, our resistance, our opposition to the change, to the doing thing, to the unknown that lead us to really hold us away from it until we discover, wait a second, that crisis, what I've just done during that crisis, how have I done it? I thought I wouldn't be able to do anything like that. I didn't even know I could do that. But I just did it. And we all have that. We all are able to deal with those things. And so when we have that realization that oh, wait, so if instead of doing things or always in this way, if I do in that way, the world doesn't stop. There is no apocalypse happening. If instead of keeping myself in my bubble of illusionary safety and repetition, I step aside of that, I'm able to handle it. And sometimes that's where we start to realize, well, I can let change come in. I can let things be different. And sometimes what it takes is that realization so that afterwards we open up to the change, to doing things differently more and more. Because the more we do it, we step aside from habits and we do not act with fear against the change. That's when we realize more and more I can let that be. I can let that happen. And the more you do it, the more you allow the change in. But as beings of fear, that's sorry, that's very difficult to let it in, right? Um to just realize, look at me. I like having every morning my coffee at 8 o'clock because it is essential. If I don't have my coffee at 8 o'clock every moment, oh, my day is ruined. It's a bad day. So I have every morning at 8 o'clock my coffee. And hell on earth is if anyone puts themselves between me and my coffee at 8 o'clock. And then it happens that there's no coffee at 8 o'clock because there is a crisis. There is no coffee anymore. For some times, no coffee at 8 o'clock. Is the world ended because there is no coffee at 8 o'clock? For sometimes, no. So there is the discovery that you can have your day and even a good day without your coffee at 8 o'clock. You didn't program it. It was not something that was wanted, but the moment the coffee was not there because there was no way to have the coffee at 8 o'clock or at any other moment, well, then adaptation, discovery. What can I do? How can I do my day without my coffee at 8 o'clock? Well, you discover actually I can. It's possible. At first, it may feel like very, very, very bizarre and uncanny and I can't do it. And then, well, you do it because you have no choice. It's a crisis. There's no coffee, right? So that's how then there's a change. Now, the coffee is again available. And you can start again with your habit of coffee at 8 o'clock. But suddenly you know that you do not need it at 8 o'clock to have your day. Are you going to go back to have your coffee at 8 o'clock every day like you used to do before the crisis? Maybe, or maybe not. But you can have a relationship with your coffee that is different, where if you have your coffee at 10 o'clock instead of 8, it's okay. If you don't have your coffee at all, it's okay too. And maybe you have your coffee at 8 o'clock, but you don't have that dependency. You don't have in that repetition every day, because now you know that you can deal with your day without needing your coffee at 8 o'clock. So you allow the change, and you allow yourself to work with it, to extend the change, and then more change is allowed in, because once you allow some change, then you can allow more change. And that's how you enter into something that is, well, change. So a different relationship with your creation, with your now, and less dependency to one factor in your day. And that, I think, brings in more opportunities, more more energy, right? Your vibration changes, so you are opening up yourself to other things there. You use your technology, your abilities to deal with change. So the fear that you had about a situation, about something, you realize, well, that fear actually it didn't materialize. It was not really there. When it happened, I was able to still function. I was able still to be there and acting and taking decisions and move and deal with people and deal with whatever other stuff happens in the day. So my fear of not having a coffee was irrational, like many fears. That was a little example.
It was good. I think sometimes maybe we need to recognize this. Maybe recognize that being led, even by your patterns, is still a way of you controlling your reality, but you're putting the authority in the patterns because you're so goddamn afraid to make a decision by yourself. Because there's always consequences in decisions, which is just another fucking bullshit belief system. There's no consequences in anything unless you interpret it like that. Because every world is unconditional. Every reality is unconditional. The conditions are applied by each beholder, each singularity looking at its own reality. So maybe the pattern itself, the identity, is that I don't have the ability to make my choice. So I created this identity about having coffee at 8 o'clock in the morning every day, and I'm a mess without it. Blah, 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 blah. Without it, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that. See, that's an external idea of the way you're supposed to be. So you're being led by your truth, the truth of the identity that says you're this particular way. But you're not that particular way. You're choosing that. So as a life changing moment disrupts the algorithm, the pattern, and Max calls it a crisis. You get a crisis, and then you have to change. You have to adapt. Well, it's not you have to. You're going to, because the situation isn't the same. You're not going to just stop. You're going to lock up and shut down. You're going to go, like we all do. So the point is to see your own patterns in things, your own stabilities that you rely on, and people when they feel like they're getting accomplishment. And how do we feel like we're accomplishing something? Well, the mirror, our reality, has to reflect that to us. Otherwise, it's not there. It's like people want to know, well, why are you doing this for a reason? Why are you doing this? And they're looking for reasons. You know, they want to know, what's the reason you're doing this? Someone asked me, what is the reason you're writing this book? It's a ludicrous question, but it's a human question. So we got to look at the reasons that we behave in our ways. And some of those reasons is because they feel good. It gives us a outcome. It gives us something tangible. Without that, we don't put energy into it. All you have to do is look at, fads over the years. This is in season now, and this was a great fad. Like, remember those fucking spinners? And they were on every idea store in the US here anyway. You held them between your finger and you fucking spun shit. Oh, they're therapeutic, they're this, they're that. And they were a fad. There's something to identify. And as soon as the energy went away, they're gone. No one wants one anymore. They're gone. Puff the magic dragon. See, because it wasn't no longer giving them an outcome. See, humanity likes their patterns to have outcomes. And if you're doing ascension work and then you see your own work, you see your own movement, but you don't go beyond that movement, then you're in a pattern. You have to recognize that within yourself. I found some wonderful changes inside of me, different ideas to explore, because there's no loss in exploration. But what was the key for me in that is I have a different relationship with myself. I'm not no longer an outside self having a relationship with myself, because I'm not having a relationship with my identity. I'm relating to the I am differently. I'm choosing more of that framework, those thoughts, that approach to life. And it allows me to explore different modalities of ascension work, different things to give me prosperous, energetic work for no reason and zero expectation, because the results aren't a factor. Because I'm not putting pressure and vibrational tension on myself not to waste time and make something worthwhile. How can your own existence ever have a measure on it? How can any experience ever have a measure? Well, I'll tell you how. You got a fucking fractal inside of you, and it's telling you a story of measurement on your own behavior. This isn't good enough. That's bad. This is better. This is what you should do. And then you become that cycled idea of being led by the truth of your own belief systems. And you're following it on because you really literally think, I've got to have my coffee at fucking 8 o'clock, and if I don't, I'm going to die. And that is a very powerful truth for a lot of people. I drank so much coffee. And then I was like, I kind of got allergic to a little bit of milk. There was a milk thing with me for a while. And then I switched to oat milk. But coffee and oat milk and coconut milk and all the other fucking milks don't taste like goddamn half and half. A nice cream. Doesn't taste the same. Doesn't taste the same. And then I just say, oh, I just a little, I get used to it. And then I would switch to decaf because I didn't like how I was feeling. You know, my body's changing, and I didn't want to keep the patterns going. I was fighting it for a while there, and then I stopped coffee altogether and started drinking herbal teas, no caffeine. So that the exciting part was I got to go through caffeine headaches, and that sucks because it's not in the front of your head, it's not in the back of your head. For me, it was in the middle of my fucking head, and nothing could reach it. No fucking Bear aspirin. If you guys remember what Bear aspirin is, showing my age. Nothing would get it. So it was just a process of evolution. And then I realized I was in a pattern. You know, I would drink coffee because I was supposed to drink coffee. Not necessarily that I wanted coffee. What I really wanted was a hot drink. And that wasn't a pattern. That was, oh, it's time for a hot drink. And I love hot drinks. I'm a tiny girl. I'm 115 pounds, you know, and I'm cold. You know, I don't drink cold stuff because I get cold. You know, the only cold drink I drink is my oat milk at nighttime in a bowl of cereal. But everything else is either room temperature or heated up. Right? So I really didn't want coffee. I wanted something warm. So I recognized that. So I'm evolving. So now I got a couple of herbs from my acupuncturist, which was a wonderful attraction in my reality. And I drink that with hot water and stir that in. I also have, you know, a nice licorice tea, and I also have just plain hot water, which is excellent because it warms me up. And those are my drinks: water, tea, and herbs, which is pretty much fucking water. You know, and I realized, well, coffee's water too. Coffee's a whole bunch of water. You know, but I realized that my body was wanting to change, and I was patterning it and fighting it. My body was saying, hey, you know what? We don't need to crave it in the morning and then crash in the afternoon. I mean, it wasn't a big crash. I never had those. But I did feel tired sometimes, like, God damn. Whew, you know? And when you drink too much, you got a little jittery. I was like, man, this is affecting me. I'm having an experience. Question was, did I need to be proud that I drank coffee or did I want to evolve? So I recognized the pattern and I moved on from it. And always something is there. And I tried all coffee alternatives, chicory root and different ideas. They're not coffee. Coffee is a badass motherfucker itself. That's why it's selling on that NASDAQ. It's why it's traded around the world, because it is an absolute outstanding invention of mankind, of humankind, of creators. It's wonderful, but I was just done with it. I'm not saying be done with coffee. I'm not saying be done with anything. You got to follow your own self and recognize your own patterns so you can move into that change, into that next room of yourself. Recognize maybe some of those patterns. Don't be led by identity.
Yeah, and you can discover so many things and amazing things that are there. I mean, we we actually know so little about ourselves and what we are able to do. That is a little, now coming back, is a little bit like just the easy way out, just to stay with what we know about ourselves, what we can do, so that, because it's effort, because it's demanding to discover and know more about ourselves. So we hide it. We do not look into it. but we actually have so much that is there. Our abilities, my goodness, it's really for confronted that with what we believe we are. It's just so much more. Even just our ability, right, to listen to ourselves, to have what we call intuition, or what we call or you're lucky, right? We have all these words just not to deal with the fact that we have abilities. Oh, that's luck. No, it's not luck. There's no luck. Stop with the luck.
Luck?
Yeah, luck,
Luck. Okay.
right? Oh, um I won. Just luck. No, it's not just luck. And that becomes an excuse not to confront ourselves with what we really are, with our abilities. And there's the luck, and there's all that bunch of things that we just throw there instead of saying, hmm, look at me. I did this because I felt inside of me like something that was leading me to do that. So I did it. So it's not luck, it's me. I've been doing that. Not the luck. There's no damn luck ever. That is so much easier to that doesn't want to accept, to look into it, to accept the self as the self is. Oh, it's so much easier. And it's also the scary thing, right? To allow that being, that huge being that we are, to be exposed, to be there, to be recognized, because we haven't been told ever that that is possible, that there is anything inside of us that is worth any notice, that is able to do anything. Been told absolutely the opposite. So when it comes the moment to expose it, to recognize it, it's scary. It's denial. It's opposition. It's anything but the acceptance, the recognition, until it becomes self-evident, until we cannot avoid it, until we accept, simply to say, that's me. This happened because of me, not because of a external factor whatsoever that that allowed me to win, or that allowed me to gain something, right? Some external factor. No, that is me. And even just that little recognition, that little awareness of the self, is a huge step into the evolution of the self, into the bringing the self back center stage in your creation, in your life, in your whatever you want to call it. There, that's you. This word, your word, is about you, not about them. It's about you. And I know that because that's my experience of believing that we were just witnessing the great of the world achieving stuff, and you're just there as, yeah, as a witness, as a side secondary character in a bigger story where you have no access. And to then recognize, wait a minute, no, it's about me. This is about me. Well, that is then a huge step for everyone, for any one of us, that finally we just put ourselves in our rightful position, where we, and that is a position that we always have, that we cannot have any other position. It cannot be in any other way except the belief that we are not worth being center stage. because that's how we have been raised, and that's educated, right? But that too, we can keep that as a pattern, as a habit of believing that, because it's easy, because that's all I've known. But we can let go of that, and we can allow in change. And the change is to realize our worth, and to realize I'm center stage. And that's my position. I cannot be in any other position in my world than center stage, because this is about me. Yeah. So that is, again, that's the work. That's when you choose to evolve yourself, to bring yourself into a different way of experiencing your existence. No more sidekick, no more secondary character, but center stage. And that brings what? And that brings a lot of what we could say responsibilities, because then you cannot just throw away everything on any other's, anyone, anyone's other shoulders, right? it's it's I have to recognize I'm center stage, so it's me. So I'm responsible for myself, not them.
There's a take on that. When you put it all on you and you become center stage, of course anxiety is going to kick in, worthiness is going to kick
Yeah.
in, the patterns are going to show you, you're going to try to construct a secure reality. Don't construct a secure reality. Instead of looking at this as a responsibility, I love what Bashar had said. Daryl Anka channels an entity from the Society civilization named Bashar. We haven't mentioned on here this. Well, Bashar is the entire collective, meaning messenger. Anyways, so Bashar had said it's not responsibility, it's the ability to respond. So you have to understand, you have your truth in the moment, and whatever your truth is, doesn't matter what the mirror says your truth is. It doesn't matter what you say. And evolve yourself. If you find something that's a truth, and you speak that truth, and the mirror reflects the truth as being false, then you either choose your truth or you choose that truth. If you choose your truth, you're never wrong. If you choose the outside truth, you're never wrong either. You're just shifting your truths. Right and wrong is a fucking opinion that stands in the diarrhea of humanity. Let it stay there. You work outside of the human collective norms. You're creating your own little world. So you bring it back to you, and that's anxiety. That's scary. You know, it's not the
And
outside
empowerment,
fear. It's me. What?
but also empowerment.
Well, of course, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because you're finally worthy of yourself.
Mm.
You're worthy of you making your own choices. You know, you don't fuck things up. You might make what you deem is a mistake, but it's not a mistake. It's a new idea. See, a mistake is an overused word. It's like it comes from I stake this claim. You go in there and you look for gold, and there's no gold, so you misstaked. So now you go and you find another idea and you stake it over here and you look in that hole and you find some gold. Then it wasn't a mistake. It was a stake. You know? So don't look at it. You got to keep looking. So keep refining yourself, but make sure they're resonant truth with yourself, the nature of you in the moment, and and it will when it will the nature of yourself changes. Accept the change, accept the evolution, or then you're going to be a pattern. We don't want to make a dress out of you. We'll wear it a couple times a year and then put it back in the closet. That's not what you are. You're an array of colors that's constantly changing. You're an array of ideas of consciousness expression defined by lines and colors and vibrations, and you're constantly this unmolded entity of evolutionary change that you can allow yourself to experience. The separation puts you in a box. You play the box and you wake up and go, this box isn't me. How do I get out? You attract ones that say, here's how you get out. And Max just said it. You've been empowered, but you also have the ability to respond. So there's no failure. Just get the fucking work. Get the work.
Yeah.
Get the work.
And from my perspective, is that the empowerment is it's there's no comparison. It's simply uh, so wonderful to finally stop relying only to the external. And it's difficult because we've been made to believe, right, that there is a savior somewhere that can come in and save the day, help you solve your problems, and so that you can have a better life. Except that there's no savior, but not because it's simply because there's no need for a savior. There's you. And the empowerment, that's where the empowerment lies, is that the recognition that you empowered, you can do everything you need in the moment. So any problem you may have, you can solve them. That the way that happens in your reality, you may have some other co-creator coming in and help you, but that is part of your attraction. That is part of your pattern, of your construct, of the way you build your power, your empowerment. They're there for you. You're there for them. It's a co-creation in that moment where you solve your problem. Being empowered and center stage doesn't negate creation. It's it puts you in a position where you allow you and recognize you as being able to do it, to be doing your creation, to be leading your creation, and not be led, and not being saved. Because it is easy to say, oh, well, I had a problem, then it, it's someone, well, they came in and they lent me the money that I needed to save the day, right? That's easy to say, someone came in and saved me. That's one way of seeing it, right? There's the other way, which is the way of seeing of admitting that happened because I attracted it. The money was lent to me, yes, but it's still my money. Our point of view is always to say, oh, the money came from somewhere else. No, the money did not come from somewhere else, right? So this is a different way. And when I say different, this is the empowerment. This is the center stage. This is I am creator. So this is the point of view. The other point of view is the externalized point of view, point of view that we have grown up with, that says external, you are nothing, so the external have to intervene to save the day. Good. It's a way to see things. We use that. It's uh, it's there. It's available. Great. Now we can choose to empower ourselves, the empowerment, and to put ourselves in that central position where we are empowering ourselves so that our creation, what happens in our reality, we create it. So the money is our money. The abundance, it's our abundance. It is not been, it has been not, it hasn't been lent to us. It hasn't been just right as a act of pity being have been given to us. No, we did it.
But if you have those thoughts, those are recognitions of your own patterns, your own beliefs.
Mm.
You just can't say no to it. You have to transcend it. That's what breaks the patterns. You have to find out for yourself. External affirmations are horseshit. You have to do the work and see it subjectively as a truth, otherwise it remains outside you. No matter what is told to you, you have to do the work. It's your kingdom. Everyone in your reality is an attraction. So if you attract someone that lends you money, you attracted someone externally to lend you money. That's a point of view. What you did is create money in the moment. How it arrived doesn't matter. If it is understood that you have to pay it back, then the money that you will need to pay it back will come. It'll come in its natural timing and it'll be there. And if you can't think of a way how that's possible, then stop thinking and start allowing.
Yeah.
Let creation show you that you're a god. Because if you try to figure out you're a god, you're fucked. Because you are playing the fractal game, and fractal is the not God experience. The only way to return to God is you got to start being a god. God's there like, oh, I'm this, I'm that, I have to. And you take the journey. You're never a failure. You're on this wonderful idea of eternal discovery. This one just happens to be human. We're living in the human room, the room of humanity. Make sure you understand that and do your work.
Absolutely. And it's a discovery, and I I come to say, imagine, look at, we're very judgmental regarding some people and their belief, how they're acting and all of that. No, but now imagine how horrible a life you must have when you take the beliefs that some religions are holding, and some religious people are holding of unworthiness, of sinner, of how horrible every human being is, right? But imagine how terrible a life you must have when you hold those beliefs so highly, so um, strongly with you, where then that means that you have a very terrible, pitiful, horrible idea of yourself, opinion, beliefs of yourself, because it's about you that you have that you have those beliefs. So it's so then translated uh, in the way these people express themselves uh, about themselves, but about other people too. So you see, it's so horrible. And I'm saying this from my point of view. Obviously, that's um, my view of that, because without excusing or making whatsoever, but it's what these people are expressing, and so it's translated in the way we perceive them. But they have horrible point of views, horrible beliefs about themselves. So then there you go, right? It's come out with people that love more their guns than children. But and I said, oh, and for me that's horrible, not for them obviously, but that's fine. We have different point of view, but then right, that's translated in the way they are, and so when you come to revalue yourself, to value human or your experience here, and rediscover the beauty of you, the wonderful being that you are. There's even no comparing it, because it's so much better in the quality of life, in the quality of what your reality is. So we choose.
Yeah. So I think we're about wrapped up here. Just to review,
Yes.
recognize your own patterns. Your systematic patterns, they're always attached to energy. And the energy is 99.9% of the time an emotion when you discover the pattern. There'll be an energy of an emotion behind it. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel purposeful. It gives you a certain identity. That's when you know you're ready to evolve that. And you have to forge and find your way to move past and through those things, through those patterns. So, anyways,
There you
thanks
go.
all for tuning in to the Madden God. I am Roxanne Swain Hart. You can find me at Odyssey of Ascension on YouTube and odysseyofascension.com. And Max, where can they find you?
You can find me on guarirecongliangeli.it in Italian, breakfastwithmax.com, and YouTube, Breakfast with Max. And you can send us messages, opinions, suggestions at thematicnodpodcast@gmail.com.
Awesome, awesome. All right, guys, thanks all for tuning in. We'll see you next week. See you, Max.
Bye-bye. See you. Thank you, Roxy. Thank you, everyone.